we can get started, I want to welcome everybody to this first listening tour session in Clarksburg. You should have in front of you a listening tour agenda handout, some surveys and some other material, which I'll explain after the delegates welcome you to the session. But I'd like to introduce House Speaker who's with us tonight to welcome you all. Tim.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl. I'm so proud to be here in Harrison County. Selfishly, since I'm the speaker, I wanted to start it here in Harrison County. I hope no one minds, but if you do, we'll worry about it next year. But when I was elected speaker by my peers, I felt that it was important that we focus on small business growth and entrepreneurial growth here in West Virginia, because I didn't feel like enough was being done to try and promote that. But part of promoting small business growth is to do more listening than talking. And so we want this to be a very meaningful experience, and we have 10 other cities we're going to visit around the state of West Virginia, and hopefully this will become an ongoing process. And of course we'll see some common themes probably at each stop, but each one of you have a variety of different backgrounds, different skill sets, different experiences, different businesses you're involved in, and it's our hope that you will share with us. We have some folks here who are going to share with you some successes they've had, but also share with you the hurdles they've encountered, some of which they've been able to overcome, some of which they've not been able to overcome. And it's our goal tonight to learn from you what some of those hurdles might be that we as a legislative body can address and hopefully remove for you and help small businesses and entrepreneurs flourish. Some of your concerns and hurdles might be a municipal hurdle that we can't do anything about. Maybe it's the local municipality, or maybe something the county is doing or not doing that's preventing you from succeeding as much as you otherwise would and could succeed. So, but we want this to be a very meaningful learning experience. Many times elected officials go around the state, have town hall meetings, and it's really more about them and less about what your thoughts are. We want this to be a very meaningful event. You have some documentation in front of you, so we want you to not be hesitant or shy about sharing your thoughts and concerns with us, because that's how we learn. And with that, I want to introduce the gentleman who is not just a colleague of mine, but a good friend, and someone who is the chairman of the new Small Business Entrepreneurship and Economic Development Committee in the House of Delegates, Doug Scaff.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you. This is fantastic. What a great way to kick this off. I knew he mentioned we were going to go to 10 cities, and he told me you worry about 2 through 10. I already know where the first stop was going to be. So I'm excited to be here tonight. I wanted to take a quick moment to introduce, we have over 15 delegates from the committee. Like the speaker said, this year what we did was, for the first time in the history of the House of Delegates that I can remember, he broke out from a small business, industry, energy, and labor committee and put the focus on a committee with small business, entrepreneurship, and economic development. So I'm just ecstatic that he chose me to be the chair. As a local small business owner in Charleston from Kanawha County, I look forward, and like you, I want to work firsthand, because I know what it's like to stay up at night on a Friday night to see how you're going to make payroll the next weekend. I know what it's like to go through a cyclical process and a seasonal process, depending on what you sell and what you do. So we, as elected officials, can only assume what we can do to help move West Virginia forward, but to hear firsthand from you what we can do to help you succeed, grow, and expand, and continue to create jobs here in West Virginia. So thank you for all you do. I'd like to take a quick moment and go around the room, introduce my colleagues that rode up in the vans today. We'll start over here with Delegate Tom Azinger, Republican from Wood, if you would wave there. We have Delegate Alan Evans, Republican from Grant. We have Barbara Fleschauer, Democrat from Mon County, back over here. We have Bill Hamilton, Republican from Upshur. We have Tim Manchin from Marion, Tim Manchin, our Judiciary Chairman. Mike Mannypenny, Democrat from Taylor. We have Carol Miller, Republican from Cabell. We have Erica Storch from Ohio County. Ron Walters, my colleague from Kanawha. Larry Williams from Preston County. Larry. Our Majority Whip, Mr. Mike Caputo, that most of you know from Marion. We also have Vice Chair Jason Barrett, all the way from Berkeley County. And we have Vice Chairman Bill Hartman from Randolph. Let's give them a round of applause for making the trek up here today. Hamrick? Is Hamrick here? Donnie Hamrick? There he is, Donnie Hamrick. There. Let's give Hamrick a round of applause. Delegate Hamrick, thank you for being here. You do a fantastic job for us as a new delegate down there in Charleston. Well, I look forward to getting started, and enough from me. Now it's time to turn it over to you all and move this process forward, because we're here, like they said, and like the speaker said, to listen, learn, and do what we can to help you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If you look again on the agenda real quick, this is what we call a structured session so that we can collect as much information as we can. You see on this board here and the board in the back and on your agenda, a few couple rules that we find very helpful when we have listening sessions, and that is that we share the floor, that we keep a good pace, and we're respectful. And we're not here tonight to debate issues or to give judgment to what people say. We're here to collect as many of the ideas that we can. So we hope that you'll kind of help us abide by that. The other thing that the House wanted to do was to have some representative businesses in the area open the session by telling a little bit about their success stories that they have and some of the challenges, as the House Speaker said. And so we have 6 tonight that will spend 3 to 5 minutes, we hope, so that they get the flavor going. And after that, then we're going to open it up to whatever success stories you want to speak to or whatever solutions. So hopefully we'll be able to start now. Nick, would you mind starting? Would maybe just go down the row here and give us a little bit about your success and challenges you may have.
We have a few businesses, but I was asked to talk about our media company, which is Fantasia Broadcasting. It started in 1947, and our family purchased it in 1955. I acquired it from my father in 1990, and at times we had as many as 9 radio stations. Most recently we had 4, and we have evolved the company into a tower company as well that deals with the wireless industry, as well as other radio stations that we lease to. The successes that our company has achieved, I think, go hand in hand with the usual West Virginia success story. We were able to have a niche in the market because of being a family-owned business. Most of West Virginia businesses are a business that you put a face and a name to, as well as a product to. And when an owner's talking to an owner, as long as everybody's walking the walk after they talk the talk, it all seems to work out okay. And our business for 60-some years has certainly been a beneficiary of that. We've had a lot of success growing our company through different marquee products, whether it is towers that are in the right spot, or programming that hits the right niche, or finding the right employees for the right place. But it's all part of a network in our community, I think, that has helped our successes. We have a very vibrant and a very dynamic Chamber of Commerce. Tina's here, and they are very helpful with not only our business but other businesses in our area in helping put people together so that success can be facilitated through partnerships. And those partnerships, I think, have been very beneficial to us. Like a lot of businesses, some of the issues that we have to overcome, one, it's challenging to find employees from time to time. We often talk about the large pool of employees we have, but when you're chasing down engineers for an RF environment, or whether you're chasing down salespeople or trying to pick up someone with an IT background, we probably, I don't know if it's through our community college system or through our 4-year college system, but there's probably some opportunities there that small business can take a look at to help the businesses that are out there more readily find the right employee and have the training in place, to make that work. Like a lot of small businesses, we've got some regulatory issues, and that can be something as complicated as when we're in the middle of a tower construction dealing with DEP, and I know you'll find this hard to believe, but culture and history, because we have to do an archaeology study on a project like that. Or it can be something just as simple as one experience we had. It took us 2 years to get through the workers' comp qualifications to get our folks qualified in a different environment than an air traffic controller, which they land planes and we play records. So it's kind of different. But it took a while for that to occur. So I'm sure each business will have a regulatory story that they can talk to you about as well. By and large, though, I can tell you we've spent time in other states. We've spent our lives here. West Virginia is a great place to be. It's a good, fertile environment for profit. If there's an opportunity for you guys to come up with some venture capital for people to grow their entrepreneurial ideas, I think that would certainly be a big step in helping a small business get started. Once you get started, as most of these businesses will tell you, the banks and the lenders tend to like you, but until you've got a track record and something they can hang a lien on, you need somebody to help you get that idea to the market, and a venture capital pool for small businesses certainly would be a step in that. With that, I'll pass it on down to Harry.
Thank you, Nick. My name's Harry Gillum. I'm with Showtime Music. I have 2 retail locations in West Virginia. We have one at the Meadowbrook Mall. We've been there since 1991. We're the longest survivor of independent retail in that mall. So we also have a retail location in southern West Virginia, outside of Beckley at the Crossroads Mall in Mount Hope, West Virginia. We employ about 22 administrative and sales staff between the 2 stores. We have 14 educators. We teach around 400 private music lessons per week between the 2 stores, and that's anywhere from age 6 to 80, 90 years old that takes lessons. One of the things that we've experienced when we talk about success in a store or any entrepreneurial business in the state of West Virginia, I think it all has to start with a dream. And you have to have a lot of determination. You create a business model that's only been a dream, and you do not be a follower. You become a leader and you set the standards and the examples. The biggest thing that I found that we did is we networked with others. We created networking windows. We created an organization in 2006 in the music industry that we have now got over 600 music store owners that belong to that organization. And between having 600 business owners of the same field all over the country, we can share, we can find a problem and resolve it very quickly. We have 600 people that are inputting answers. So if we have a business owner that's only 10 years in the business or 2 years in the business, and they're trying to find out what insurance they have or what Brick Street that they take and what workers' comp that they take, the networking that we have through the social network that we've created is a tremendous resource. Since 2006, we have over 75,000 posts on our website, and a total number of topics is well over 15,000 topics. So I really, really think that that is a big tool that if you're in business, join an organization, create a network, and start to develop that so that you can have a shoulder to lean on when you need it. The challenges that we face every day in retail, and I'd like to see a showing of hands. How many retailers are here this evening that has a retail business? Okay. How many are here that has a business that is not retail, it may be clerical? Okay. Insurance business? Okay. And how many here have e-commerce businesses? How many here with e-commerce does over 30% of your business with e-commerce? Okay. And your name is? Mike Queen, okay. So you're the only one that raised a hand with 30% of e-commerce in the room.
My son should have raised his hand too.
Okay. And where's your son at? Okay. Why were you being bashful? And with your e-commerce, do you do most of your business in West Virginia or outside of West Virginia? In West Virginia. And that's the one thing that I feel that we are burdened with on a daily basis is when you're a business operator, if you have a specialty service that you deal with, we have to deal with internet competition all over the world. And our competitors are not our local businesses in West Virginia anymore. It's the ones that are scattered all across the country. And which brings me to, I've always wanted to see an equal playing field, and I've pushed this button many times that internet needs to have a sales tax. Now, with a showing of hands, how many here has purchased something on the internet? That's the largest showing of hands in the room. Who here filled out your use tax form and sent the tax to the state of West Virginia? Come on, don't be bashful. One. Dolores, I saw your hand. Shame on you, you broke the whole program. So if we think about the amount of revenue that's lost through e-commerce sales, at one point it was over $27 million in West Virginia that we were able to document in the late 80s or late 90s. And I know that it's much more than that now. And that article was featured by WSAZ TV out of Huntington, West Virginia, is who brought that article in the late 90s to the table. So we as retailers and business people, if we are offering a product that we are in retail and we're selling and we're operating a brick and mortar store and we're paying a staff of people, we're 6% disadvantaged right out the window before we even shake hands to try to sell that product. So that is something that I would like to see happen at some point. Also, challenges that we have, that's one of our big challenges. The other that we've had, the Delegates in West Virginia has stepped up on some of these bad checks. When a retailer takes a bad check, they're really, really tough to collect. And yet, at the same time, we do pay the 6% sales tax on that bad check to the state. And yes, we do get a tax write-off of that bad check at the end of the year if we can't collect it. But if we have a $5,000 bad check and they've skipped the country and gone, as you know, I had a $43,000 bad check, uncollectible. But you still pay the sales tax to the state on that. So anyway, that's a real challenge. Another challenge for businesses, I feel, is that we have too much paperwork to fill out. Did I hear a giggle on that one? I mean, we have so many forms that comes in the mail and they're all labeled required by law, required by law. And I generally stack them up until I really get a nasty one that threatens me. And if they're required by law, I try to find this law and they cite numbers, but I can never locate them. And sometimes they're federal and sometimes they're state. So I think a reduction in paperwork would be a tremendous asset to add additional time to my staff to be able to spend more time being productive. We said, as you reflect on your success to date, provide what you believe has been one or two of the key factors that's helped in being successful. Well, the communities that we're in has been very successful for our companies. Both communities are very musical. People in West Virginia are very, very loyal to a store. There's only 38 music stores in West Virginia, and by population, we're the most understaffed music retail state in the union out of 8,000 retailers and a population of 330 million people. So our 1.8 million plus or minus West Virginia residents is basically served by 31, 35 stores. We operate two of four that's considered full-line stores, which means we sell everything in the music industry, from a $50,000 grand piano to a 25-cent guitar pick. And there's nothing in our store that doesn't require customer service to come in, that the customer has to be waited on to buy just about everything. They need help. So it requires a big staff to make that. It's a very challenging business to be in. I always said if it was easy, then Sears and Walmart and everybody else would be in the music business, but they tried it and they failed. So it's a specialty business. And I think it's great that the customers want to do business on a local level. And what do we do to try to move forward in being an entrepreneur is we look for the next new thing. And give you an example of that. The next new thing, the next new trend, something that can happen. This took 1 year to get approved, and this is a guitar that WVU approved this past week. It will be the proper colors, but this was almost 1 year in the making. These guitars will be available late fall. So it'll be the first guitar with a WVU endorsed product. But it was a lot of work to get that to the table, so we're pretty excited about it. So I know that the document said don't hand any documentation out, so I'm going to keep the picture of the guitar here, but I do have a stack of business cards. So being an entrepreneur, if anybody wants one, I've got them. So anyway, I think that kind of tells what I feel and what I think. I'll close with two things. I'm glad that the franchise tax is reducing a little bit. I think that has hit the table in Charleston, correct? So that is a help to the businesses in West Virginia. Some easement of corporate tax. The one thing that I feel that retailers are penalized for, and this is anybody that has any inventory, is we pay personal property tax on inventory. And it comes around that we have to do 2 inventories a year. We have to do one at the end of December to do our physical tax year return. And then we have to do a second inventory the end of June for that wonderful blue piece of paper that we receive to report all of our personal assets on. But if you take a company that's got $1 million in inventory, we pay personal tax in that county where the inventory sets. I think it's right that we should pay personal property tax on our building, leasehold improvement, our vehicles, but I feel like inventory tax is a penalty tax. So with that, I will turn my microphone over to Kathy. Thank you for letting me chat a little bit.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Goings, and just to give you a little bit of a background, I am an owner of a small business in downtown Clarksburg, Embellishments. It's a gift store. I opened it in the year 2000, and then in 2004, I opened Wicked Sisters Clothing Boutique, also in downtown Clarksburg. That same year, in 2004, I opened Embellishments 2 in downtown Bridgeport. And then in 2007, I opened the 5th floor Martini Bar, also in downtown Clarksburg. So if you kind of follow my numbers, I should have opened one additional store being 4 years later, but I decided to get involved in politics. So Tim, I wish you would have warned me on that. But anyway, I've kind of taken a different approach on the small business perception on this. Generally, when you talk about small businesses, you talk about businesses that employ 100 people or less. But most of your true small businesses are sole proprietors, partnerships, and smaller LLCs. And so on a typical day, we may only have 1, 2, or 3 people working in our stores or running our stores. So I kind of have taken the approach that we should refer to those types of businesses as micro businesses and take a different approach because, again, you know, we're not even close to having 100 employees or less. And these micro businesses are your local floral shops, your beauty shops, your little gift stores, art studios. These are the mom and pop stores that are within your downtown areas and actually are your downtown areas. As a business owner, it's imperative that we take advantage of the programs that a lot of our local municipalities have to offer to us. And in particular, in the city of Clarksburg, we have a facade grant program and a 3-year B&O tax incentive. And while these are really great programs, and they're good in the initial startup. They're one time and done. So you try to take advantage of everything that they have to offer, but years down the road, like I have taken advantage of every program that the city of Clarksburg has offered, but I've been down there 14 years, and there is really nothing from a municipal level that can help me as a business owner. And so what I would like to do is to see us to do a program to retain and reward our businesses that come into our communities. And as I mentioned earlier, the facade program is one of those avenues. And but a lot of the smaller municipalities can't offer programs like that. But if we could offer something like that at the state level, whereby you know, you could offer an incentive for being in business, say, every 5 years, every 7 years, every 10 years, combine that with the local programs, then that would really give us a boost. You know, the other things, I kind of had a different format tonight, so I wasn't really sure how we were going to go about this, so I just have some notes here. You know, again, competition is a big factor when you're in a small business. And by competition, I don't mean other small businesses. I mean the mass merchandisers, the big box retailers, and now, as Harry alluded to, you know, we have to compete with internet sales. So, you know, the challenge is to always continue to find the latest and greatest that's out there, and as a retailer, that you're constantly struggling for that. But you know, a lot of times small businesses go out of business, and the reason for that, I think, is because they're undercapitalized, and you have to be able to weather the storm. And anybody that's been in business knows there's a lot of storms to be weathered. But you know, my thought is if we could come up with a retain and reward program, you know, this would help gear the micro businesses into, you know, maintaining within our downtown communities. And I think it's safe to say that no one really ever goes into business thinking they're going to get rich from it. You do it because of the passion, the pride of ownership, and the desire to provide goods and services for your local community. So my thought is, together, if we could work on a retain and reward program, then we could reward our local small businesses who have made such a commitment to our local communities. So that's basically the approach. I'm looking more long-term than, you know, for the immediate short-term.
I'm Dr. Robert Martino, CEO of Wilson Martino Dental and EASW. I'll tell you what those are. Wilson Martino Dental is, we're the largest provider of dental services across the state of West Virginia. How we got that way, I'd love to tell you it's all me. But number one, I'm from an Italian family, and so that meant my parents did everything for me. I had the greatest parents in the world, and so going through that process is, you know, they put me through college, and I still look back and don't know how. But everything was sacrificed for us. And then when I went to work at Dr. Wilson's office, we had that same environment, that family environment, and actually saw someone here, Steve Stout, whose wife worked for me for 20 years. I couldn't be where I'm at without her. I couldn't be where I'm at without all my staff and my doctors. I can't see all the 25,000 patients across the state. If you want to know what's great about West Virginia, it's those people that put their time in every day, and I think we need to support them more. And I think that's, you know, I love the support that we're getting, but I love Tim, that you're doing this for us, but I think if we can train them better. I have another company. It's a national company. It's called EASW. It's Engines and Airframe Solutions Worldwide. Actually, it's a worldwide company. We work on jet airplanes, business jets, and it's our main customers, NetJets. When they have a plane that's broke, we go fix it. It's attracting talent. That's our biggest struggle, and in my dental offices too. I'm desperate for an oral surgeon. I'd love to have one. It's tough to attract them to West Virginia. I'm desperate to have more mechanics. We could work on more planes. I think that's our biggest challenge, is attracting not low-level jobs. I think we can do that pretty good. It's the high level. It's the professionals. It's the dentist, the high, and all these are high-paid individuals. It's getting that talent here to West Virginia. Once they come here, I think they get a part of it and they love it. But to get them to first visit here and be a part of the community, and I think being in Clarksburg and Bridgeport, we have good schools, so that attracts them. But I think that's our biggest challenge. I think that personally. One of my biggest challenges, with the dental board, they don't like my model. They're made up of single dentists. They don't like, that we're a corporation dental organization. So that can be challenging at times, but the way we overcome it, we just understand that's just part of business, and to get through it. But I think for us as I'm sure many of the small businesses although we have a great workforce, we need more of a talented workforce for more educated in the things. We have probably one of the best secrets in West Virginia is our airport. Our airport has probably 2,000 jobs here, and these are well-paid jobs. Before I got involved, I lived here all my life and didn't know that was here. And the more that we can, I know all the businesses out there are looking for more talent. So the more talent that we get, I think the more that we can grow. So thank you. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Ben?
My name is Ben Queen. I'm a freshman at West Virginia University. And in 8th grade, I started Ben Queen Photography. Back then, it was taking pictures at sporting events, selling them to parents for $1 a piece. So the business experience then wasn't what it is now. I grew up, expanded that business, built a new website with CityNet, a local, very talented people, and grew that business to where other young amateur photographers can post their pictures for sale online without having to do anything else. They can post those pictures. 60% of the total sales goes to them. We handle everything else. It gave other people an option to sell their stuff without having to pay $15,000 for a website. I hope to grow that more back in high school, but I had to go to high school. So a lot of the pressure on me to grow that, I stayed up late on Fridays shooting basketball games and figuring out how I can be the next Steve Cutright, the next Mr. Alvarez. Those guys inspire young people like me because they've done it. They're walking examples of what I want to be when I grow up. So sophomore and junior year of high school 2 years ago, I started shooting for media outlets, expanding my coverage personally. Senior year, I was able to grow my business to where I had 5 freelance photographers working for me, shooting these sports events that I couldn't be at, either because I was shooting a Bridgeport game or studying for a test or different things like that, being a kid for once. So senior year, I graduated. I was able to bring those freelance photographers with me, and now I give them the opportunity to shoot on their free time at night, making $75, $100 an assignment. So now I have 5 freelance photographers shooting, making $500 a week, and that's where I want to grow my business. And the one thing that I'd like to see is young entrepreneurship taught younger in high school. When I was in 8th grade, I was pushed by my teachers to start this website. They saw potential in me. They saw that I had the talent. The $1 pictures might not have been that good, but I promise they've gotten better. But I've been able to grow that with people in this room. I know a lot of people in this room. They've given me support. But for that 8th grade teacher, I was just another student. I was just a kid taking pictures, trying to be like the professionals. And that's what I want to do in a year or so. Build a business to where it gives those freelance photographers, adults, 30, 40, 50 years old, the opportunity to I want to give them a full-time job. People who've been laid off from employment in Morgantown, coming to an 18-year-old, 19 now, that I want that opportunity. I want to see younger kids like me given the opportunity to do great things, start their own business. It's not encouraged. Another struggle of mine, people look down on 17, 16-year-old kids who want to start their business. I was encouraged. This county's been great for me to start my own business, but I'd love to see entrepreneurship taught. It's great. We have a program at WVU now for juniors and seniors in college, but I'd like to see business classes, young entrepreneur classes taught in a freshman in high school. Give that opportunity to a kid like me who, like any other teacher would say, that I was just another kid. They're doing their job, but they gave me the opportunity to make a career out of it. So somebody like myself, you get pictures published in the Clarksburg Exponent. It's a pretty big deal for a 16-year-old. Pictures published for West Virginia Metro News, New York Times, USA Today. I want that opportunity for younger kids than me and my age kids growing up in high school to be career ready, coming out of high school, in case the 75% of kids who don't decide to go to college can push them to start their own business. Thanks.
Good evening. My name's Mark Urso. I want to thank everybody for having me this evening. Name of my company is Bear Contracting. We're in the construction business. We are kind of that small business model of 100 employees. We usually employ between 50 and 100 employees a year, depending on the time of year. We primarily focus in the gas industry, building well pad construction and all facets of the gas industry, from maintenance and repair to station work, small pipeline. We also work in the public market, water and sewer construction, paving roadways, both on the private side for bonded roadways, as well as highway and county road work with the Department of Highways. I think the positives and the success. I've had the business for 10 years now. David Alvarez and his brother Emmanuel gave me the opportunity 10 years ago to get a start, and I tell a lot of people this. I borrowed money from him, and after 1 month I paid him back because I was so scared of having to borrow money. So but the successes that I have had have been very much of a result of a family reputation and a lot of the reputation that David and Emmanuel had built in their business led to a lot of our success. The hard work that we have done and that we pride ourselves on has also been a very important part of our success. I think also being in West Virginia and really the state as a whole, a small town mentality where you can have evenings like this and really benefit from having a chance to speak to your representatives and get your word out there is something that's also helped us, whether it's through associations that I'm a member of with the Contractors Association or the ABC, has been very, very important. That has filtered and trickled over into being able to work with banks in the area to continue to have the opportunity to grow, as well as community involvement, have all been extremely important. But I can't stress enough the voice within our government has been tremendous. With regulation, to me, comes intimidation. And to be able to go to somebody like Speaker Miley or Doug or Sam Can, I refer to a lot of times as one of my mentors, and be able to walk into their office in Charleston and say, I don't completely understand this, and they explain it to me and give me their time and say, hey, the guy you're going to be meeting with is a great guy. He's a big Mountaineer fan or whatever. Really kind of breaks the ice and has been extremely important. So please continue as you travel to put your arms around the businesses that are trying to succeed. Challenges, obviously, in our industry is the regulations. Health insurance reform is another challenge, and I really think that we are dropping the ball with our trade schools across the state. One of our biggest reasons that we've been successful is the workforce in West Virginia is second to none, especially in the gas industry. They're willing to work 6-7 days a week, long hours, especially in the summertime, and we need them to be better trained when they come out into the workforce. And the Contractors Association is working on, it's kind of in its infancy with a mentoring program of getting contractors involved throughout the state. And I think this is something that, if we can work to incentivize small businesses to support the trade schools in a bigger way, I think all of us will benefit tremendously from it. Industry specifics, things that I would encourage all of you to look at is, although I greatly appreciate that we have a contractor's license requirement in the state of West Virginia, I think outside competition is makes it extremely hard for us to continue to grow. The guys that gave me a start, when they sold their business or one of their businesses, the company immediately moved to Pennsylvania. Lower income taxes, not as stringent property taxes on their equipment. Unfortunately, 300 jobs, some of which stayed still here, but the fact of the matter is that revenue went to another state. I think that there needs to be more, consideration to our competition that's here building the well pads as well or doing other aspects. How can property tax possibly be charged, or they experience some of the same expenses that we incur throughout the year of trying to run our business. So I'll leave that to you guys to figure that out, but awful lot of iron here in this state right now doing stuff that I only hope they're doing their part. the out-of-state competition, as well as I think that more regulation, as much as I hate to say that, within the contractors industry, we experience throughout the year contractors going under, filing bankruptcy, but yet they're right back in business the following year. And I think there needs to be something done. It drives the price down in the marketplace, but ultimately it ends up costing the public more money in the long run, because these guys start back up under another name. They're still incapable of bidding projects the proper way and making sure that that they do a good job for the public entity, and we've seen it time and time again. So really, those are the two or three issues that I would encourage each of you. I again appreciate your time and look forward to speaking to you after this.
Why don't we give our 6 presenters a round of applause? We'd like to open it up now to somebody that has a success or somebody that has a solution. We'll try and, again, be as brief and direct as we can. I saw a hand back here. Matt, are you ready?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Frank Angotti. A lot of you know me here. I own a little restaurant called Chunky's. We opened in 1978. We're the oldest hot delivery service in the area. We started square pizzas, 20-inch subs, a lot of different sandwiches. I think the key to some of our success is that we say we make everything but a hot dog, and we can deliver it. And, of course, you all know this week is Heart-Shaped Pizza Week, and I think I'm the only one that can do that. But anyway, I served in the legislature like you all, and I've got a couple ideas I'd like to pass on to you and be brief about it. I talked to a few of you earlier this week. I understand that we finally passed the raise in minimum wage, and I applaud you for that. My few employees make a lot more than what you're going to pay by 2016, but that's how you keep good employees. You have to share what you make, and we try to do that. I'd like to see you go one step further, and I hope it's not too late. I think I missed the last day to amend the bill. I did call down, but I'm not having much luck. I think you didn't go far enough with wait staff for people to come in and make $2.30 to $3 an hour, and you, the customer, subsidize that franchise owner's wages by tipping is wrong. They should be at least making $7.25 right now if that's minimum wage. And if they do a good job, then you tip them, because you do tip them if they do a good job. And I think it's wrong. That's an immediate $200 a week raise to that employee. And believe me, they'll still get tips. That's one issue. Mr. Speaker, it might be too late to do anything on your side. Hopefully you all will look at that and talk to our friends on the Senate side and get something done in that respect. The other thing is if you want small business to flourish immediately, it takes wage increases. People have to have money. That's why during income tax time, we flourish more than any other time of the year, because people have extra income. We need you all to give raises to the people that work for the state of West Virginia. Even if you could get a 3% every year to each one of them, no matter what they do, if they teach, they drive a truck or whatever, that puts instant dollars into the economy that will go into my restaurant and everybody else that's in business somehow.
My name is Court Hill. I work for FESCO Ltd. We're an oil and gas service company. We started up here because our manager, named Jack Cooper, dreamed of being able to come back to West Virginia, create jobs, and create opportunities for the people that live there. He's a native of Beckley. He served in the military for 21 years, and he wanted to come back. Since 2009, we have grown. We now have over 50 employees working for us. We recently opened a $4 million facility, and our reputation in the oil and gas industry has never been better in this region. We have people calling us from all over the tri-state area because they want us on their wells. That's, our success story. We share it with the local people. We do everything we can and have never had to go outside of this state to hire workers. We hire all local people from Harrison County, we have, I mean, everyone that works for us is now a native of West Virginia, and even if they weren't before. We bring people here even if they weren't from here. The biggest problem that we have is trying to find people that are willing to work the long hours. We have people that work for us that didn't graduate high school. They have GEDs, and yet they make over $70,000 a year. Some break 100, especially after the bonuses that we provide. But we can't get them to stay. The state here sometimes gives the people the means to live without wanting to work. It's not a matter of they can't work. That's understandable. But able-bodied people that can don't always have to. They have the ability to live a comfortable life without ever having to work. And don't get me wrong, the people that work here work incredibly hard. We live out on location, myself included. I've spent up to 44 days living out on a camper in sub-zero temperatures, working 12-hour shifts for weeks on end. And the people that work with me are some of the hardest working people that I know. And I applaud them for that, and I appreciate their work. But it's still not enough. We could hire tomorrow 100 people and keep those people busy. We would not, I mean, the jobs, we turn down more jobs every month than we take because we don't have the people there willing to work. And that's something that we've tried and tried to get. Another problem, and I know you wanted a specific example, some of the regulations that we encounter stifle those local businesses. I'll cite State Bill 373, which is the Water Resources Protection and Management Act. I think that's a great bill. I think that that's something that needs to be regulated. I think that this state's water supply is worth protecting and worth using all means necessary to protect. But I think that consulting local industries would be good in that. Something that I noticed while reading this bill is it requires a professional engineer to sign off on those inspections. It has no requirement on what kind of background that engineer needs. So an industrial engineer who's never taken any structural classes, never taken any design classes, according to this bill, is now qualified to sign off on tank inspections. Meanwhile, there's a nationally regulated committee called the American Petroleum Institute. They have a certification known as 653 that is for tank inspections. That is, I mean, there are businesses around here that specialize in those kind of certifications that because they don't have a professional engineer on staff are no longer qualified to do inspections based on this bill. I think that while I agree with the spirit of the bill, being able to protect the water resources of the state, I think that looking to existing certifications and what local businesses are already doing to protect those industries would be something worth doing. I mean, this is something, API 653 is something that I was looking into for our business, to help grow our business, to provide more jobs to local people. And now we're no longer able to do that. I'm the only engineer on staff. I don't qualify for my professional engineering license yet. I'm no longer qualified. I mean, our metallurgical department has a combined of 17 years experience between all of them, doing only inspections. But we are not qualified under this bill.
My name's Don Myers, and I run a business. It's called B&B Timber. We buy and sell land, and we cut timber. But the problem we have today is we don't have anybody that'll stand up for West Virginia laws today. Nobody cares about the land rights, and nobody will stand up for them. I have 2 pieces of property right here in Harrison County that I ain't had access for years. Now, West Virginia state law guarantees I have that access when I bought my deed. I've been paying taxes on it all those years. As a matter of fact, one of my pieces of property, I am parcel number 32. The guy that shut the right-of-way off to my piece of property is 32A. Now, I ask you, being I'm the dominant piece of property, how can he have more rights than I do? Now, I bought this one piece off through the county. It was advertised to a real estate company. I've done everything possible to make sure it was clear. As a matter of fact, I was sold a clear deed with title insurance on it and all. But you know what that deed's worth today? And the other deed too? It ain't even good toilet paper. Because we have Republicans and we have delegates that's Democrat, and none of them will stand up for West Virginia state law. I am a school-trained land specialist with 30 years experience. And I'll tell you all, standing right here now, you're all a disgrace especially all you ones from Harrison County.
Sir, we try and be respectful. That's the guidelines.
Okay, I'm not standing here telling you the truth. Okay. I'm not here to sugarcoat for you. I'm not here to make it nice for you. We have a major problem with the laws here in West Virginia when it comes to landowners. Okay, we own land in West Virginia. Your deed ain't no good neither, because we don't have anybody to stand behind it.
Sorry you're so upset, sir. We have in my family, it's a close-owned corporation. We have 4 corporations: Lumber, Port Shinston Gas, Blacksville Oil and Gas. We have about 5,200 customers in 5 counties. And we have 2 small production companies. And when laws are made in West Virginia and regulations by the legislature, the laws that apply to the large producers that are non-domestic corporations, that is, not incorporated in West Virginia, which we have been for 105 years. We feel for us to grow, we need a little bit of break. It's pocket change to them. It's a lot of money to us, but we're a union shop, and we're proud of that, and we do good work. We're nationally awarded pipeline safety and so forth. That's one issue. Another very important issue is Obamacare in West Virginia is, I call it high-mark care, because when I went to insure my employees, everybody has pulled out except for Highmark. So no competition is always a bad thing. And so maybe the legislature needs to work with our senators and congressmen and go interstate with competition. It just is not going to be good that I'm at the mercy of Highmark, and it's not good. So the whole thing was about competition, but there is no competition. I had one other point I wanted to make here, and I'll let this go. On property taxes, we almost feel like we were targeted. I talked to Ike Morse and Mike Ross and Brian Jarvis of Hydrocarbon Energy and a few others, and we had our property taxes on oil and gas. Some of them as high as 900% increases, 400, 500% increases, and these are wells that don't produce any more last year than they did the year before. And there's no, in 75% of the cases, there's no Marcellus opportunity, so it can't be that they're anticipating some increase in value from that. So please ask you all to look into that. There's something very, very wrong. And some companies did not get these, and some did, some that I mentioned. So that's about it. And I think this Highmark issue, nothing to Highmark. Highmark, I have them. It's a great insurance company. But I think not having any competition, when that was the whole idea of the Affordable Care Act, is going to make it unaffordable, because I've tried to get decreases by putting a group together, and it's actually turning out to be increases. So maybe it should be interstate instead of intrastate competition. They have no competition.
My name is Dan Moore. I own KDM Consultants. We're a construction cost consulting firm. We service numerous architects and engineers throughout the state of West Virginia. I guess one of our big success stories, I will say, is that we're in our 4th year, and we're keeping the wolves away from the door. So that's a good thing. I have had some issues regarding the material sales tax, the consumer sales tax that they are charging due to the West Virginia Code. The West Virginia Code indicates that professional services are exempt, but it goes on to list the entities in Section 110, subsection 15, Article 8.1.1 of who is actually exempt. And so thanks to Speaker Miley, I think he's introduced some legislation in Bill HB 4416. I encourage all of you to approve that bill. It will help. Most of the work that I do is for public works projects. This past year, I did all the construction cost consulting for the Lewis County Judicial Center, for instance. The Monongalia County Justice Center, which is just getting underway. The Charleston Correctional Facility. So most of the projects that I am doing are public works projects that are being charged sales tax through architects who actually architects are exempt according to the code, and I'm having to charge on my services. So what it boils down to make a long story short, if they would exempt me, then that won't be charged to them in the future, because Selling Associates or WYK Associates, the architectural firms that, like we just recently did the 911 center here in Clarksburg for WYK, then when they submit their bill to the state agency, it's not going to have, or my bill to the state agency, it's not going to have that material sales tax on it. So, so we would truly appreciate it, and I thank all the delegates for coming out, and I truly appreciate Tim's help in getting this legislation introduced, and I really encourage you to pass it.
Hi, I'm Sharon Werdebaugh, and I am partial owner of Align Human Resources. And I have a success story that started in 2004 in my living room when I worked for a local manufacturer as an HR manager, was walked out the door during a downsizing from a $72,000 a year job as a single mom. And I sat down and did business number 4, westvirginia.com. How the heck do you open a business in West Virginia? And I said, well, I'm going to be an LLC because I could read how to do that. So I decided I'm going to get a client. So I called Jim Denny at Smith, Denny, and Alastanos and said, how do I find my first client? I want to do human resources consulting. And he sent out a letter to his entire client base saying, if you need any HR help in your small and medium-sized businesses, call Sharon. And the business started rolling in and rolling in and rolling in. And since that time, I have closed Westmar HR Consulting and joined forces in the new partnership of Align Human Resources. We have a Charleston office, we have a Wheeling office, and I'm very happy to say that 81% of the revenue is coming from this market, from Bridgeport, Clarksburg, Fairmont, Morgantown. And a lot of the people sitting in this room are either our clients, our mentors, they've provided resources for us. And it's great to be able to work in West Virginia and work your connections and form a reputation and grow your business because you work hard and you do work your connection. The chamber helps, the conference center helps. Everybody is there to help, and being able to network is awesome. We do have a dynamic chamber, and that's fantastic. We work a lot with Christina Oliver and the Small Business Association. She has helped with us so much. The 2 guys from the SBDC in Charleston, we work with Doug Spalding a lot. We work with Terry Cyphers a lot. A lot of you business owners may not know that there's this thing out there called the Fintel report that the SBDC gave us, and it's basically an industry comparison by size, by industry that you're in, and it tells you what those other businesses are making, what their financial reports look like, what their income statements look like, and you can kind of start to figure out how to grow your business to mirror image with those. So there's a ton of resources out there. The 3 challenges that I have that I would ask for your help on are being in multiple locations in the state, multiple cities, clients all over the state, figuring out the B&O tax. We're paying somebody about $1,200 a month to sit there and tell us which rate we pay based upon where the client was, where the work was done from, which one of our offices, and it doesn't seem like it should be that labor intensive, and it's really painful to go through that exercise. I ask that you help encourage traditional lenders to give line of credit to small businesses. I was in business as Westmar HR Consulting for 9 years. My business partner was in business for 12 years, but because we just opened our doors July 1 as the new formed business, we've been turned down by 3 lenders for a small $25,000 to $50,000 line of credit. And I think there should be some incentive for them working with small businesses. And the last one is in regards to drug screenings. We're in human resources, so we write policies for clients like Mark Urso and help them get drug policies and programs in place to protect their jobs. But in the courtrooms right now, we're hearing in West Virginia specifically that we're being turned away now from doing post-employment accident testing in a lot of industries. It's a breach of people's privacy, and that you can't go and do as many post-accident drug screenings anymore unless there's a reason to suspect that they're under the influence. And the days of being able to do pre-employment drug testing on everybody and random testing on more people and post-accident drug screenings every time somebody wrecks a forklift or damages a bunch of property would be a significant help to keeping jobs in the state.
Hi everybody, I'm Melissa Loader with the Small Business Administration, and our mission is to help small businesses start, grow, and succeed. And my job is to help small businesses get government contracts. The federal government spent $1.2 billion in the state of West Virginia last year, of which 23% is required to go to small businesses. We get a lot of calls from large businesses who are looking for small businesses because they are required to do 23% of that contract with small businesses. There's not a database that I can go to find small businesses in West Virginia. So my first suggestion is a quick fix, and that would be to have legislative code to put a box on the form for your business license and business renewal, and that box would be check here if you're a small business. You could even add a couple of more boxes that said, let us check if you're a woman-owned small business, a veteran-owned small business, or a small disadvantaged business. These are categories that are required for these contractors to do business with small business. The other area is there needs to be some accountability or follow-through. Apparently, a lot of contractors who have received large awards have to advertise. For example, the municipality of Clarksburg has to do an advertisement for bids. Women and minorities are encouraged to respond. Then what happens? Nothing. There isn't any follow-through. There isn't any enforcement. There isn't any accountability that looks into, did they actually use a minority business or a woman-owned business or a veteran-owned business for this contract? So what's the use to having women and minorities are encouraged to submit a bid if there's no follow-through? So I would encourage the committee, the Small Business Committee, to take a look at that and get some sort of system in place that would help with the follow-throughs.
My name is Mike Queen. I have the honor this evening of being Ben Queen's dad. He's done the best job that he could to raise me up to use technology. And as a school board member the last 8 years and president the last 2, I can tell you that there are opportunities abound in our public school system that we really need to take advantage of when it comes time to introducing our students to entrepreneurship, to business principles, especially when we know as a fact, as legislators and as parents and community leaders, that 70% of our students don't get college degrees. So there's an opportunity and a challenge for us in the public school system to introduce those students to business principles. And I can say that Ben, for one, would be just another kid with a camera had it not been for teachers who took their own time after school in most cases to introduce kids to technology and emerging technology and changing technology. E-commerce is a growing cottage industry, if you will. There are a lot of opportunities, a lot of wonderful opportunities in our state, in our school system, for these students with their ideas and their apps. My son got me an iPhone for Christmas and had to teach me how to turn it on vibrate before I came in here. I mean, these students understand the apps, they understand the applications, they understand how technology makes our life easier, and the business opportunities that are there. It is incredible to sit in a high school class of computer students and listen to what they have to say about their ideas, what they'd like to see as far as technology is concerned. And the next Bill Gates, the next Zuckerberg may be sitting right here in one of our public school systems. We have the infrastructure. This legislature and former legislatures have invested in the broadband. We have world-class website development groups like CityNet that can teach our kids and be resources for our students. The problem is our teachers just don't have time. Our teachers don't have the time or given the opportunity to work with students, and it needs to become part of our public school curriculum, especially our middle school, our secondary curriculum. So when you're talking, those of you who are on the education committee, as I was once, I'm a recovering legislator, I think that education needs to play its role in economic development and let them embrace the technologies available in our schools and encourage these kids to think outside the box, because most of them will not get college degrees and all of them understand the technology. So once they leave school, they may have opportunities to come up with some idea that's worth millions. We hope that's the case.
I'm Scott Duarte, and back in 2006, I moved back to the area to help open up and create CP Hospitality with Charles Point developer Jamie Corton. We opened Bridgeport Conference Center. Bridgeport Conference Center was the second business, really, in almost that entire exit out there 8 years ago. If you can see now, a lot has changed since then. I'm here today just to talk about some of the growth that we've had. We've opened 3 companies since then. Most recently, I'm here to speak about being a recipient of the Capital Access Fund, Natural Capital Investment. Most recently, we opened a coal-fired pizzeria, Mia Margarita, out of Charles Point. A high-risk business, the restaurant business, and you guys in that plan took a risk on us, and 17, 20,000 pizzas later, it's been about 10 weeks, we're doing okay, so we appreciate that. A lot of help from our folks in the area. Sharon word about HR system, it's been great. They help us a lot with what it is that we do out there. But I'd like to just ask you to hopefully keep supporting those programs. I mean, they help us in the restaurant business, the hospitality business. We manage hotels and conference centers. It helps us do what we do, and it's important. Challenges for us, workforce development. Workforce development in this area is difficult. The hospitality industry, you almost have to grow them organically or have them move out and come back in years past to get the talent pool that you need. Additionally, marketing, public relations is important to us, and I know that there's funding available through Capital Access to help improve websites, improve marketing, and different graphic programs like that. So again, we appreciate your support. Keep the funding coming. I don't have a heart-shaped pizza yet, Chunky, but I'm gonna work on it.
Good evening. My name is Mike Kwasniewski. I'm with the Charm Farm down in Randolph County, and I'd like to start with a success story. We're not entirely successful in it yet, but the ball has been rolling, and it pertains to slaughtering chickens. So that's one aspect of my business. I process free-range birds on the farm. And over the last couple years, I've run up against the on-farm limit, which is 1,000 birds. That can be quite a bit in the summer, but once you get in the routine of doing 200 a week, it doesn't seem like that much. And the demand is out there for more, and the policymakers, you all have helped. You've seen this bill for the 20,000 bird exemption come before you, and it's passed the House and the Senate, and it's now in the Judiciary review. So thank you all for that. And that brings up, I guess as a farmer, an aspect of the economy here in West Virginia that hasn't been touched on yet. And it's us small farmers, and I've got some other colleagues in the room. And I want you all to keep in mind when you see laws come through that you can't compare us apples to apples, West Virginia to Iowa. We're not limitless cornfields. We're hollers and hard scrabble. And you gotta, when you see these laws come through, say the poultry exemption, there's been some meat processing laws pertaining to rabbits. There's been some raw milk regulation to go through. Take a perspective of the small landowner who's paying property tax, who's got 40 acres, maybe tillable. That's a good plot of ground here in the state. Think of how can a business be developed on that small acreage, say anywhere from 1 to 50 acres. And what can you do as a legislature to catalyze that? So don't look, and our Commissioner of Ag, he's really gotten on board with the local food. He's talking a little less about Idaho and Wisconsin and a little bit more about West Virginia. And that's great. I mean, I think you'll see Bridgeport Conference Center's hosted the very vibrant Bridgeport Farmers Market. And I'm sure everyone in this room has had some encounter with local food. And it's really becoming a vibrant part of this economy. And we need to capitalize that and really bolster that as much as we can. A couple things, health insurance, that's critical. I'll be hiring my first full-time employee in about 3 weeks. And that's something I strive to have. But it is limiting once, when nothing changes, when you get excited for the hype that's out there. Another thing is rural broadband. I think we've had a bit of a kerfuffle with the federal funds, but let's not forget about that. It's not the kind of business that you can set up on like cable internet and three-phase power. There's extra infrastructure that goes into starting a farm because it isn't conveniently located downtown. And yeah. So I think that is all. Just keep us in mind as farmers. There's, I know a few of you. I see Mr. Evans back there. So I know there's a few of us in the room here. So don't forget about us when you see these laws come through and recommendations.
My name's Matt Hinkle. I'm from the Hinkle Farm in Canaan Valley, West Virginia. And I thank you so much for the 20,000 bird rule change. That is, I don't know, if you don't understand, talk to us, talk to somebody at a farmer's market this summer, what that could possibly mean in gross income for a farm. To reiterate what Kathy said earlier, small businesses are defined as less than 100 employees. Small farms by the USDA are defined as less than $500,000 in sales. I have no idea how many large farms we have in West Virginia. I'm sure we're all small farms, but a lot of us are really small farms, aspiring to be bigger. But there's a lot of positive momentum with the local food movement and the small farm movement in this state. Just to the east of us, based in Barber County, we have what's called the Tigard Valley Growers Association. It's a cooperative for educational purposes for farmers in our region. Mike's a part of it, I'm a part of it, and there's probably 20 different farms represented in that organization. Again, stop in, talk to us. Talk to us at the farmers markets. We are all different. Mike's less than 30 miles from me. His farm's completely different from mine. We are not like Iowa. We're not like Ohio. You don't see acres and acres of corn and soybeans. We have pigs and cows and tomatoes and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, thank you for your support, and I'm not even going to complain about regulations.
My name's Gib Brown. I'm president of the James and Law Company here in Clarksburg. Our company operates the state textbook depository. It has now morphed into instructional materials, like Mike referred to. Our customer is largely the county boards of education, and we've run into a squeeze on our profitability that I think many of you will run into if you haven't already. Back in 2010, the state auditor's office came to us and told us that we had to accept P cards in payment for textbooks. A P card is a purchasing card that was originally intended to support small purchases and travel by state agencies. And textbooks are a phenomenally expensive thing that the title to those never passes to the James and Law Company. We are a distributor for 51 publishers. If I have a $100,000 sale to Randolph County Board of Education, when I collect on that, I send $92,000 to the publisher or respective publishers, and I earn $8,000. As my sales grow, my percentage decreases down to 6%. And out of that comes all of our expense. We pay for delivery, and everybody knows what gasoline has gone to. We pay all of our taxes, our people, our hospitalization. That's another issue. But along comes the auditor's office telling us we have to pay a 2.3% processing fee. So my profitability on this year's sales, we had $18.5 million in sales on the calendar year. On that $100,000 sale I referred to, our net profitability because of that sliding scale has dropped to 6.4%. So if we subtract 2.3% off of that, we're earning 4.3%, which is not sustainable. Now, the company's been around for 117 years. We've supplied textbooks to all 55 districts for 101 years now, and the state auditor's office is squeezing me to the point where I may not be able to sustain that segment of my business. So I don't know what the legislature can do to help me, but it's all in this Purchasing Policies and Procedures Manual for Local Education Agencies, stipulating what the terms are. I held districts off for a couple of years by saying, I know that the utilities are not accepting P cards in payment for gas and electric and so on. I know the large commodity suppliers were not accepting them. But in this latest version, those loopholes have been closed. It specifically refers to utilities and commodities suppliers that they cannot pass those 2.3% processing fees on to their customers. You have to absorb it. And in my case, absorbing 2.3 is a terrific expense.
Hi, my name's Steve McElroy. I'm from Bridgeport, retired from the HVAC industry. I'd like to talk about judicial reform. I believe that it was about 10 years ago, the healthcare industry was in crisis. Doctors were leaving the state due to high insurance rates, and hospitals were going bankrupt, on the verge of bankruptcy, all due to ridiculously high awards from lawsuits. At that time, to their credit, the West Virginia legislature made the judicial reforms that stopped this. These judicial reforms made West Virginia business friendly for the healthcare industry. Now we have UHC nearby that's booming. We have out-of-state money coming in to invest. There's companies interested in Fairmont General, pumping a few $1 million into it. And there were no regulation reforms and no special health care court needed, and no $1 million tax breaks offered to out-of-state businesses, only judicial reform. I think if we do those same judicial reforms for all industries, we're going to have a booming economy in West Virginia, attracting businesses. They're going to be knocking on our door, creating jobs. And the solution for all businesses in West Virginia is more consumers. And more jobs, more businesses will produce that for West Virginia.
You know, I think probably one of the greatest things in business is the power of networking, and what you guys doing coming up in your busy schedule. You run the state in 30 days or 60-day session, and taking time out of your busy schedules is much appreciated. I do have some landlocked property. I appreciate your frustration. These guys are the people's representatives, and everybody's got different views. What I will tell you is, when I look at what we're doing as a state, from a standpoint of a small business, I'm going to tell you my griefs. And I'm perceived as a large business, but I have many small businesses. Our roads, it's expensive to drive our cars on our roads when we're getting flat tires every day in these potholes. Keep it simple, you know. We're looking at ways to fund our road system. I look at what Harry brought up about the internet sales tax. Boy, what a great way for us to put money into the economy and help fix our roads. There's a lot of great ideas, but having you guys up here means a lot to us as a community. I mean, I know many of you, hey, we don't think alike, but at the end of the day, we all have the same goal, to have a better West Virginia, and I appreciate everybody being here.
Van Allsburg, I'm the General Manager for Frontier Communications for North Central West Virginia. How many of you know of somebody who's moved back to West Virginia after leaving for 10, 15, 20 years? A lot. And there's a lot more out there. Just today I extended an offer to a gentleman who's from Fairmont, 12-year military veteran. He's going to be a great asset to my team. And I just posed the question, what if we were known as the state where military veterans were to come for jobs? What if we were known to be the state that was known to be, if you're a military veteran and you want to start a small business, this is the state to come to? Just some what ifs.
I'm Dina Keener with I-79 Development Council, and we tell a lot of great stories because we work predominantly in North Central West Virginia, and we have a lot of diversity and a lot of strong industries. The past 2 days we have spent at the aerospace complex here talking to the companies, and I have heard from nearly everyone who spoke about the disconnect and the lack of strength with workforce. And that disconnect. And the West Virginia Department of Education has created simulated workplaces that are taking place. They rolled out 22 of them in September, and they are a huge success. So anything that you can do to further that mission, the 3-year goal is for all 46 of our career and technical centers throughout the state to have multiple focused simulated workplaces. And these youth not only learn the skill set, but they learn how to run the business. They create their own HR. They create their own time clocks. We even, and Dr. D'Antoni is the originator of this, and she can tell you success story after success story, and they've only run 1 semester. But she has a team who has come to her and wanted to know if they could develop a certification because they willingly drug test, the youth do. And they would like to have a certification developed that they tested clean for 2 years, so that they can go out and they can use that as an advantage in the industry. So we don't have a problem with a lot of our youth. They just need the right outlet. We spent 2 days at the aerospace industry. We talked to Pratt Whitney. We talked to Bombardier. We talked to Aurora. All of them have entry-level positions that a high school education qualified person can come in. There's places for them to advance themselves And one of the unique things about the aerospace complex here is those are career jobs. You can go in with a high school education. They will further educate you. They will further train you, and you can spend your entire career with these industries. And they're multinational industries. So strengthening that simulated workplace initiative across the state is a win for everyone.
I'm Patricia Lee, and I direct the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Law Clinic over at the College of Law in Morgantown. And first, thank you for doing this listening tour. It's been helpful to me also to hear all the comments. I wanted to talk about something slightly different. We first of all, a success. The WVU College of Law has an Entrepreneurship and Innovation Law Clinic that also received some funding from the Benedum Foundation. But over the years, the law students have been representing in transactional and intellectual property related matters entrepreneurs throughout the state of West Virginia. We have a little heat map so you can see where, everywhere all throughout the state we've represented people. And what we have found in terms of some of the challenges, that we believe that access to capital is still a challenge for the micro groups, and so we would suggest some kind of encouragement of other micro programs throughout the state. And also another challenge, infrastructure is a challenge. One of the solutions that we have relates to maybe possibly embracing or considering looking at what the Department of Commerce's focus is this year. Now they have 3 focus points. Trade, which would be, grow local, but export global. And I think if there's more growth local and more exports, that could really raise the revenues through the state. A second is to look at the data. There's so much data that can be captured, whether it's from the Commerce Department, the Census Department, NOAA, Ag, in terms of the farmers, so much capital, that data that can be captured, which could give rise to new opportunities. And then the other is innovation. To look at innovation, whether that's in manufacturing and other sectors. So we have those recommendations. We would hope that you continue to support, as you have already done, the West Virginia University College of Law and all of its clinical programs that provide many pro bono services to the state.
My name's Bob Gribben. I work for the Fairmont Community Development Partnership, and it's good to see that we have so many people who are in business and are making comments, but it's also good, I think, to see that there are some nonprofit type of organization here that also play an important role, I think, in business. Our organization works for economic and community development. And, we've had some success along the way with that. We also have an entrepreneurial spirit. We're not a charity organization. We do projects that some of them are commercial in nature. There's been some commercial properties that were let go, that needed to be revitalized, and we were able to put our efforts to do that. We have returned 3 really significant properties, and have them working for commercial ventures as well as rental factors as well. So consider these kind of things, I think, as you go along. One of the projects that we are stepping out on in the very near future will be a business incubator. We have a property that we have located that we're going to be able to revitalize, and we're going to open up a business incubator. And believe me, we'll need a lot of people like yourselves who are in real business to be working with us, because that is the support and help that will be needed to make those successful ventures.
Thank you very much. My name is Zito Sardarella. I'm the Dean of the Business School at WVU, and I want to commend the speaker as well as the other delegates here for this great event. I want to mention 2 things. The Business School at the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, we're running 2 major business plan competition, one for the collegiate level, and we've got this year 235 entries from all over the state, which is terrific. But we also started this year a high school business plan competition with 17 high schools in the state. In fact, we'd like to take this project to all 157 high schools in the state, or 151. I think if we can inspire our young people, the 15, 16, 17-year-olds, to develop that entrepreneurial zeal, I think we're going to go far in terms of developing a new economy in the state of West Virginia. The final thing is a suggestion to the legislatures, and I did mention this when we were together in January. We should set as a target for us that as a state of West Virginia, we are the fastest state to approve new business operations. Ask ourselves, how long does it take to start up a business and get all the permits to get it started? We should benchmark Virginia, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Tennessee, and set as a goal for us, you come to this state, we'll deliver to you a permit to start a business in this state the fastest ever. I think it's easy to do, it will attract attention, people start talking about it, and I think it's a beginning in the right direction.
I'm Joyce McConnell, the Dean at the West Virginia University College of Law, and I want to publicly thank the Benedum Foundation for actually believing in entrepreneurship in West Virginia 4 years ago and giving us a seed grant to start the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Clinic. And I want to thank everyone who has hosted this event, particularly Speaker Miley and the chairman, for doing this listening tour, because our clinic has been running now for 4 years. We've served over 400 clients. We take referrals from small business development centers, small business administration, Chamber of Commerce's. We've represented clients in all 55 states. We partner very, very closely with B&E because what we're all interested at the university is building the entrepreneurial spirit in West Virginia and also building the capacity to serve it. And so I think it's important for everyone to hear that there's so much going on at the university around entrepreneurship, particularly local foods. and our clinic is involved in a grant for local foods. But I just want to share all of that, not to focus on B&E or not to focus on the law school, but to tell you WVU is deep into entrepreneurship, and if you just scratch the surface, it's going on everywhere. And our goal is to make West Virginia entrepreneurial in the same way we're trying to build capacity. So thank you for the hearings.
I'm John Golden with Tech Connect West Virginia's Innovation Adoption Program. That is a program that's designed for small and mid-sized manufacturers in the state to help with new product design, rapid prototyping, industrial analysis, other innovation type needs. Like many of the folks who spoke this evening, I am also a small business owner. So anything that I can do to help a manufacturer in the state to come up with new products, processes, tools to help them compete better, I'm here to help.
Hi, I'm Karen Friel. I'm the Deputy District Director for the U.S. Small Business Administration. And we also thank you for inviting the resources out there that are available to small businesses. We cover what we call the basic 3 C's to start out with, and that's counseling, providing capital in the form of grants through financial institutions, and government contracting assistance. With that said, we also do handle disaster, and we also handle helping out with export opportunities. So bringing the businesses together, we have a small office here in West Virginia, so we don't have that many staff, but we work with some great resource partners, which is the Small Business Development Center that you'll hear about, SCORE, and we had a Women's Business Center, and we lost that this past year, and we hope to obtain that back. But understand that SBA can help you in lots of different facets. Please get with me after the conference tonight. We'd be glad to give you our business card and set you up with a lot of training opportunities that is at no cost or very little cost to help you. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Ann Barth with Tech Connect West Virginia, and we are a nonprofit economic development group in the state working to promote innovation-based economic development in 4 targeted technology sectors, and those are advanced energy, chemicals and advanced materials, biometrics and identity intelligence, and biosciences. We also know that West Virginia has great capacity in our heritage as manufacturing state. So we've, with Benedum Foundation's help, have started the Innovation Adoption Program geared towards small manufacturers. But we're working to foster entrepreneurship, and I'd be happy to talk to any of you tonight about some of our activities and programs and get you involved as well.
My name is Robert Hinton, and I'm with the Small Business Development Center. And we help small businesses start up or expand through coaching, and either for trying to get financing, marketing, as well as strategy and actually implementation of those strategies. And I'm here with Christina Oliver as well, and she is the state director, I'm sure you knew.
Thank you, Rob. I wanted Rob to speak because he's the local face here. I want to thank you all for putting this on tonight because this has just been phenomenal. And additionally, I want to thank you for the customer's viewpoint of what SBDC can do for small business. We provide technical assistance or business coaching, as we call it. We help walk the journey with the entrepreneur to help them to become successful. So thank you, and thank all of you for being here tonight.
Hi, I'm Michelle O'Connor with the West Virginia Jobs Investment Trust. We are the state-run venture fund, and we are also the administrator of the West Virginia Capital Access Program. We invest in companies throughout the state, and me and Margarita, we appreciate the kudos to that. And so we're here to answer any questions that you might have.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ravi Pandey. I'm the investment analyst at the West Virginia Jobs Investment Trust, and I also want to thank Speaker Miley and the entire committee for hosting this event. This has been a tremendous event so far, and you know, we're really pleased with the turnout, and can't thank you enough for hosting it.
I'm Guy Peduto. I'm with the Innova Commercialization Group. We're part of the West Virginia High Tech Foundation. Basically, we work with small business and entrepreneurs to take an idea from concept to commercialization, strategic planning, business development, professional assistance grants, and early stage investing. One recommendation I'd like to make is one of the names you've heard mentioned numerous times through all of the organizations is the Benedum Foundation. The Benedum Foundation is probably the largest resource provider for economic development in the state, and probably a good idea would be, how do we take what they're doing, leveraging it with what you want to do, and rather than looking at any duplicative efforts, try to see how can we expand the resources they're bringing in with the resources you can provide.
I'm Charlotte Weber with the Robert C. Byrd Institute, and while we're talking about the Benedum Foundation, let me ask Mary Hunt to stand up. Let's give her a big shout out from the Benedum Foundation. We do all owe the Benedum Foundation and Mary Hunt to thank you for everything you do, not only for all of us, but for the small businesses around the state. So thank you, Mary. I am Charlotte Weber with the Robert C. Byrd Institute, and let me ask the folks here with RCBI to stand up, if you would, please, here with us tonight. We are West Virginia's Advanced Manufacturing Technology Center with offices in Huntington, West Virginia, here in Bridgeport at the airport. Speaker Miley, I think you've been out there and toured our facility here, and in Charleston, West Virginia. We're very happy to be here tonight. We work with small manufacturers, large manufacturers across the state of West Virginia, and we thank you all for allowing us to be here tonight, and we look forward to seeing you at some other stops around the state.
All the knowledge that's in this room tonight and all the wisdom that's here, why doesn't every business licensed in the state of West Virginia receive an informational package of the resources that we have at our disposal? I didn't know what you did. I didn't know what you did. I want your card before I leave. Thank you.
Would you please stand up? This is Dave Satterfield. Speaker Miley, do you know Dave Satterfield? I think you have. Well, he's shy tonight, and he wouldn't stand up and be recognized with the West Virginia Manufacturing Extension Partnership. He's here tonight. Dave, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Charlotte. The West Virginia Manufacturing Extension Partnership is part of the West Virginia University College of Engineering. We're here to help small and medium manufacturers with any kind of problems they might have, be it from leadership to innovation to how we do lean manufacturing, ISO, API certification for the shale gas industry, and all those other things. So if you need anything, thank you for recognizing us, and we're here to help you. Thank you.
comments, reflections? You guys come on up and
Well, you know, I want to thank all of you who have taken your time to be here this evening. Many of you are local, but many of you are not local, and so I want to thank those of you who traveled great distance to be here. It's been eye-opening for me, and I know for the other delegates that I've been sitting around, because I've taken copious notes on some of the things you've talked about and mentioned. And I think it's important to always recognize that you should never assume we know what your business is like. We all have our own backgrounds and our own businesses, but I don't know anything about farming and chickens and so it's important for you to always share with us your concerns, because you can never assume that we know what you're going through and experiencing on a day-to-day basis as a business. And so I want to thank you for some of you who've been here to open up about your businesses. I know we have a lot of talent in this area. That's why I wanted to start in Harrison County, because there are so many success stories in Harrison County. We could only touch upon a few here in front of us. But I know every community in West Virginia has these same success stories. But most importantly, we have a lot more potential out there in our communities, and that's what we want to try to do as your legislators. The rest is up to you to make it work, but we want to try to do what we can from a legislative standpoint to allow you the opportunity to flourish as an entrepreneur. So thank you again for coming.
I just want to echo Speaker Malley. I mean, you have a native son here who's a big fan of this region, and he brags about North Central West Virginia, and now we know why. You have a fantastic group of people out here, and you all should be commended. Let's give them a round of applause. On a serious note, we are here to help make West Virginia a better place, and you are here too. And to see it in your eyes, and I know the notes that we all took and what you've wrote down, please give us those suggestions and those solutions. Our goal as a committee is to put this into place, action, create legislation that'll help you with all these concerns and help you grow and employ West Virginians. So thank you again for all you're doing.
Okay, well that ends it, but please take advantage of the providers that are here, even if it's just to exchange cards and set up an appointment. Thank you.